Welcome. If you're gearing up for an exam on limited liability partnerships, you are in exactly the right place. We are going to break down everything you need to know about LLP partners, who can be one, what they're on the hook for, and the super important rules about their liability. By the end of this, you'll have a rock-solid framework for all the key concepts. Let's get right into it.
So, here's our game plan. First, we're going to start with the absolute basics. Who can even be a partner? Then we'll zoom in on the very special role of designated partners. After that, we'll walk through the whole life cycle of a partner, from their relationships inside the firm to how they can leave. Next up, the main event. We'll tackle the extent of their liability. And finally, we'll wrap up with some really important special protections built right into the law. Let's jump in.
All right, Section 1, who can be a partner? Before we can even talk about liability or special roles, we have to figure out who's allowed to join the party in the first place. This is the foundation of everything.
The official legal definition is actually surprisingly simple. A partner is just anyone who becomes a partner according to the LLP agreement. That tells you something huge right away. The agreement is king. It's the source code for the entire partnership. Everything flows from that document.
So, who can that agreement actually name as a partner? Well, the law is incredibly flexible here. It's not just for people. As you can see, all sorts of corporate bodies can get in on the action. Indian companies, other LLPs from India, or even from abroad, and foreign companies too. This versatility is one of the biggest draws of the LLP structure.
Now, what's really fascinating and definitely something to remember for an exam is the list of who's specifically banned. A Hindu undivided family, or HUF? Nope, can't be a partner. A traditional partnership firm, also not allowed. And on a personal level, anyone who's been legally declared of unsound mind or is an undischarged insolvent is out. These exclusions are key distinctions.
Okay, on to our second section, designated partners. See, inside an LLP, not all partners are created equal. The law actually creates this special category of partner who has way more responsibility and way more at stake.
So what exactly is a designated partner? Well, think of them as the official compliance captains of the LLP. They're the ones legally responsible for making sure the LLP is dotting all its I's and crossing all its T's when it comes to the law. All the filings, all the paperwork, that's on them.
And here's a number you absolutely have to remember. 2. Every single LLP must have at least 2 designated partners. And here's another critical detail. At least one of them has to be a resident of India. That residency rule makes sure there's always someone on the ground in the country who can be held accountable.
Because this is such a high-stakes position, the eligibility rules are much, much tougher than for a regular partner. You need a squeaky clean financial record for the last 5 years. No bankruptcies, no stiffing your creditors. You also can't have a record of any serious crimes, especially anything involving moral turpitude or, crucially, fraud under the LLP Act itself.
Here's a fairly new rule that you'll definitely want to know about. Since early 2022, one person can't be a designated partner in more than 20 LLPs at the same time. This cap was put in place to make sure that people in this role can actually give each partnership the attention it needs to stay compliant.
This slide really sums up the whole deal, doesn't it? On one side, they have the role, handling all the legal compliance, but on the other side, they carry the liability. If the LLP messes up and gets hit with penalties, the designated partners are the ones who are personally on the hook to pay them. It's a role with some serious teeth.
All right, Section 3, partner relations and exit. We know who can get in and the special job of a designated partner, so what's it like when they're actually in the LLP? And, just as important, how do they leave?
A partner's exit really boils down to 2 main scenarios. The first way is voluntary. They can follow whatever exit plan is in the LLP agreement, or they can just give a 30-day notice to the other partners. The second way is automatic. Their partnership just ends instantly if they pass away, if the LLP dissolves, or if they're legally declared insolvent or of unsound mind.
But listen, leaving an LLP isn't like just walking out the door. There are some huge consequences to remember. First, to the outside world, they might still look like a partner until a public notice is sent out. Second, and this is a big one for exams, they are still liable for any debts the LLP took on back when they were a partner. Third, the good news. They get their capital back, plus their share of the profits. And finally, they lose all rights to meddle in how the LLP is run.
And that brings us to the main event, Section 4. This is the absolute heart of the LLP structure, the extent of liability. Let's really dig into what that word limited means, because understanding the edges of this protection is everything.
Here it is, the fundamental principle. An LLP is its own legal person, separate from the partners. So, the LLP itself is on the hook for its debts, up to the full value of all its assets. The partners, however, get to stand behind a shield. Their personal liability is limited only to the money they promised to put into the business. Their own house, their own car, that stuff is generally safe.
But, and you knew there was a but coming, right? That liability shield is not made of vibranium. It can be broken. A partner can be held personally liable in a few key situations. If they themselves do something wrong, if the LLP illegally operates with just one partner for more than 6 months, in a funky situation called holding out, and most seriously, in cases of fraud.
Let's quickly break down holding out, because it's a classic exam topic. It's a simple 3-step dance. Step 1, a person either says they're a partner or lets other people say it. Step 2, a third party believes them and gives the LLP money or credit because of it. And step 3, the result, the person who was just pretending to be a partner is now personally liable to that third party.
But the ultimate shield breaker, the one thing that just completely vaporizes the protection of limited liability, is fraud. The law could not be clearer on this. If partners act with the intent to defraud people, their protection is gone. Poof. Their liability becomes unlimited and their personal assets are fair game.
All right, for our final section, let's look at something really unique. The law doesn't just punish bad behavior, it also creates powerful protections for people on the inside who try to stop it. We're talking about whistleblowing.
So let's imagine this scenario. What happens when a partner, or maybe even an employee, finds out the LLP's doing something illegal? Reporting it could be risky for them, right? So, what kind of protection does the law give them?
Well, the Act provides some serious backup for whistleblowers. First, if they give investigators useful information, a tribunal can actually reduce or even totally waive any penalty they might have faced. Second, and this is huge, the law makes it illegal for the LLP to retaliate. They can't be fired, demoted, threatened, or harassed for doing the right thing. It's a huge incentive to keep things honest.
So, if we boil this all down, what's the big takeaway? It's this. The LLP structure offers this amazing shield of limited liability. But that shield is a privilege, not a right. It offers zero protection for your own wrongful acts, for negligence, or for fraud. At the end of the day, responsibility, compliance, and good old-fashioned good faith are non-negotiable for every single partner.
So there you have it, a deep dive into LLP partners and their liabilities. We've covered a lot, but the core idea is simple. The protection is powerful, but so are the responsibilities. I'll leave you with a final question to think about. Now that you know just how heavy the personal liability is for designated partners, how would that change the way you think about choosing someone for that job in a new LLP? It's definitely more than just a title. Thanks for joining me.